Big week for the Broncos, big week for DNVR Broncos, and big show today. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We have big time Kay Adams joining us at 11 a.m. She sat down with Sean Payton, with Russell Wilson, with Courtland Sutton, with Jeudy last week at Denver Broncos. We're going to get her insight of everything she learned because from what I can remember, I don't think anyone's had that sort of access since Sean Payton took over. And before we get there, let's talk about Russell Wilson. And let's just talk about this game a little bit more. What are we, 36 hours removed?
Yep.
Henry, how many grades have you given out so far?
Oh, boy, I haven't posted it yet, but I've got most of the grades figured out. I just need to write a few more things up.
Is it 69 of them?
It was at 70, but there was somebody who didn't make the sheet who I wanted to go back and watch.
Wow. So
yeah.
You're going to trim it?
I could. We'll see how things go.
Todd, how was your weekend?
It was good. Hang out with the fam. Got to watch some good football all around the league. Broncos didn't win, so that didn't make it the best weekend. But, you know, every week there's another shot, so hopefully.
There we go. And the reason it's a big week for the Broncos, final preseason game.
Yep.
We're not exactly sure how much the starters are going to play. I don't think they're going to play, but Sean hasn't officially made that clear. But before that, we get joint practices. And Todd, at least from my perspective, it always seems like joint practices are that much more important than even preseason games when the starters do play. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so, because you really get to go up against a different talent, a different jersey, and you really get to see how you measure up for more than, 13 plays or 12 plays. You get to have a whole practice and really run a lot of one-on-ones, 7-on-7, and really get to test yourself against another good opponent. Plus, they're always fun. There's at least going to be one fight.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody's helmet's coming off, and it's going to be a problem. And there's just a lot of good energy and a lot of competition.
No Aaron Donald this week, though.
No Aaron Donald.
He's the guy who was swinging the helmets around last year. So I'm not sure who it's going to be. Ooh, should we make our bets? Who do you think is going to be starting the fight from the Broncos side?
GB. I think GB.
That's a good one.
He will be involved in the fight some way or another, for sure, without a doubt.
I would like to see that from the Broncos offensive line. For like 10 years, we've been hearing that the Broncos offensive line is going to have this nastiness to them. And it's hard to have nasty when you're not good, but the nasty just hasn't been there. So I'd like to see that a little bit, especially this Rams defense, especially without Aaron Donald, is bad.
Yeah,
so
really
we
bad.
should see them beaten up, with fists, and then also we should see them beaten up just on the field as well. And we're going to preview that tomorrow because the Broncos are back at practice tomorrow. Rams come in for joint practice on Wednesday and Thursday, and then the final preseason game on Saturday. So we're going to be here with you the entire way. Let's talk about Russell Wilson and this game, because the number one takeaway from me from this past game was Russ looks fast. Russ looks good. And before the game, we kind of knew that Sean was going to have Russ run because he talked about at the end of the week how impressed he was with his movement skills. Russ talked about how he feels so much younger, and we're going to hear clips of both of those. But before the game, we found out something that we'd trying to been pry from Sean Payton and Russell Wilson for a while, and it's actually came from our friend Kay Adams. Kay was at Broncos, and let's hear the information she got from Sean Payton.
Can you take me into where the relationship is between you and Russell Wilson and how it's evolving? You have a quarterback who's paid a lot of money. He's very famous. He has pedigree. He's won a championship. He's done a lot in this league. Those, to me, would be the quarterbacks that would be the most difficult to coach. Why are you the perfect coach for Russell Wilson?
I think, look, we competed, our teams in Seattle, just for whatever reason, it seemed like played a number of important games in years past. We of those guys in the Pro Bowl back in Florida, I want to say 6 years ago. So Russ was one of the quarterbacks. And I think, look, when the common goal from certain players and coaches and the group is the same as to win and to win at a high level, then it's easy. Now, the work is difficult, but he's been fantastic. He's one of the first ones here. He'll be one of the last ones to leave. He'll step in my office. We'll talk about a package on offense, all of those things. And I think that, there were 16, 15 years where I was with Drew, and then the last year with Jameis and a number of other.
Jameis looked great before his like I couldn't wait to see what you're going to do with Jameis.
Well, and so coming here, there are a lot of work ethic similarities. Now they don't play exactly the same, and that's fine. But I would say, yeah, it's been really good. He's in great shape. He's down like 15 pounds. Russell is.
Yeah.
And
what does that mean to you? What do you want?
I
What do I need to know?
one of the things he does well is a lot of the off-schedule plays. Something breaks down, he can escape, and then keep a play alive. He does that extremely well, and obviously, with the shape he's in now, I mean, if you're going to do that and run, he was always a threat to run, and so I think that we're kind of seeing that what we were used to. These last 2 weeks have been really good for him. I mean, he's really been on point.
I hate talking about people's weight because it's uncomfortable. I mean, people standing up on the podium, and clearly Russell Wilson has lost weight, and he's been up at the podium a couple of times this offseason, and everyone has noticed just how good of shape he's in. And a couple of reporters have gone to that length to say, Russ, how much weight have you lost? And he said, I don't want to talk about that, with a big smile on his face. And then he follows it up with saying, I'm feeling great. Best shape I've ever been in. I had the best offseason in my life. I'm feeling great. So Russ hasn't wanted to give out that information. Sean just willingly gives it out. I don't know if Russ is thrilled with that, but 15 pounds, that's significant.
Yeah, that's a lot of weight, and especially as an athlete. You're so much more mobile losing 15 pounds. I've been 250 and I've been 235, and they are very different as far as how I felt like I could move, how I could adjust to routes on defense, and just my ability to play. So I know for him as a quarterback, his arms probably feel more mobile. His legs are definitely more mobile. He looks agile out there. So 15 pounds is a lot of weight to lose when you're playing in the NFL.
His arms still look massive, too, though. Like, that's the other thing that stands out. And I think we have another clip from Russ with Kay later. But you see Russell sitting there, and, like, I'm not sure if it's the angle or anything, but his arms are still so big. Like, it's not that he's just, like, skinny, scrawny Russ now. He is still built. And I mean, he looked faster on Friday,
and that's
Saturday.
They all get mixed in together.
Yeah. They should just be Sundays.
And Henry, I gotta say, the very first practice of camp, you came in here and you said Russ looks legitimately fast for an NFL quarterback, and I thought, whoa, we didn't see that. This Saturday was the fastest I've seen him. If he truly looks like that in the season, Henry, I got to agree with you. He actually does look fast. Now, not fast. Lamar Jackson, but for a normal quarterback in the NFL, he looks fast. And Russ talked about it after the game. He said that's something defenses just can't account for.
Yep.
And I have to imagine, Todd, when you play Lamar Jackson, the defense does account for that. But when you play a quarterback that has been pretty immobile the past 2 years, Russ hasn't been his normal self over the past 2 years in terms of running, you probably don't account for that going into a game, at least very much.
Yeah, I think he's changed people's game plans. I think they have to go back and look at how they, defended against him when he was in Seattle, because he's going to be mobile. He's going to use his legs. And as a defender, it's so much harder guarding or accounting for a mobile quarterback than it is somebody who's just going to sit in the pocket. Yeah. Playing Phillip Rivers, I mean, I wish I could have played him every week of my career and not having to worry about a QB run or a QB draw. And, it just makes you so tired. It's 3rd and 6. You lock your man down. Everybody's in good coverage. He escapes for 7 yards to get the first down. That is so demoralizing as a defense. And I look for him to do that a lot this year. So his mobility, like we always say, is going to be great for this Broncos football team.
Yeah, it's going to be huge. And Todd, my question to that is, when a defense pays more attention to the mobile quarterback, what part of the defense does that hurt?
Really, it hurts the coverage, I feel like most. Usually if you're playing man-to-man, you usually have a hole player, the guy that sits in the middle of the field that can help with crossing routes, knock guys off their route or pick somebody up. Now you have to account for a quarterback, so now you no longer have that guy sitting in the middle of the field in 3rd and short, 3rd and 5 situations. Now you have crossing routes that can really get picked off. They can pick off the defender, so you got guys more available to get open because they don't have help in the middle of the field, because either a D lineman, a linebacker, somebody's going to have to sit there and just watch Russ. And sometimes it'll hurt the pass rush. Like if they drop a D lineman out, now you're rushing 3 instead of 4 just to account for his mobility.
Yeah, and that's just a huge thing that the Broncos didn't even try to have that threat last year. Nathaniel Hackett said, no, we don't want that threat. And I listened to you, Todd, and it's like, why would you not want that? This guy has done it for 10 years.
Like, that's the point of Russell Wilson.
Yes.
Like, that's why he's an NFL quarterback, is because he can run. I mean, there's only 2 quarterbacks in the history of the NFL who've run for more yards than Russell Wilson.
Wild.
Like, that is the point of Russell Wilson. And so to just punt that aspect of his game and say, yeah, you're a pocket passer now. Like, there's a part of me that thinks, honestly, like, yeah, he's 34. Like, I kind of see where you're coming from. But also, if you're trying to play Russell Wilson in the pocket, obviously now that just will not work. Like, that's just not who he is.
Right, and that's exactly how it should be. And let's hear from Russell Wilson. Hank, you mentioned that Russ talked to Kay Adams shortly after Sean divulged the 15 pounds. Russ had a secret for how he dropped that 15 pounds. But first, I got to tell you about our friends over at Breckenridge Brewery. My guess is part of the secret is no Breckenridge breweries, which means more Breckenridge beers for the rest of us over at Breckenridge Brewery. You got to try the Mountain Beach Sour. It's going to be 100 degrees today.
Yep.
There's no better way to cool off than with a Breckenridge beer and the Mountain Beach Sour. It's a light beer, got a little bit of that sour taste, but not too overwhelming, and it is perfect on a scorching hot day like today. And if you want to get a Breckenridge beer, come by the DNVR bar to get one. If you can't make it here, go to breckbrew.com. Their beer locator on the top left-hand corner will take you right to where you can see all of the Breckenridge beers and exactly where to get them. So check them out, the official beer of DNVR over at breckbrew.com.
And we're also back with one of our old friends, DraftKings Sportsbook. I actually made quite a bit of money with our old friend DraftKings Sportsbook. And actually, it happened in 2 ways. So I logged on, and they said, we'll match your deposit 25%. I think it's mostly just because, like, we'd had other betting partners, so I wasn't around much. So they said, like, yeah, up to $250. You put money in, we'll just match it and put it in your account as free bets, which was an awesome way to start because I went to the Rockies game. So I just took all those free bets, put it on the Rockies to win, which they actually did, which is crazy. And then they always have the parlay boost for baseball. So if you have a 10-leg parlay, it'll get boosted 100%. And I hit mine. So I had like
insane.
4 different players to get a hit.
Insane.
I had like Rockies to win. Rockies had to score at least 4 runs. The White Sox had to score less than 9 runs. Like nothing crazy in there because the only odds or the only rule is it has to be minus 500 or longer. But yeah, it went all the way through and it was like a 20-1 hit. Plus I hit on all those free bets because the Rockies won. So that was an awesome night. And it's also a great time to get in with DraftKings Sportsbook right now. Because it's almost college football season. So you can make all your college football bets, including Montana Grizzlies plus 1,000 to win the national championship. Sacramento State plus 2,000. So a little way down the board, but better value.
More value for Sacramento
Definitely
State.
more
There
value.
You
I would
go.
take that.
Okay, you'll take that
sure,
one?
without a doubt.
So college football, a lot of fun to bet. So make sure you sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook. And right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets instantly if they bet $5 on any college football bet. It's that simple. All you got to do, you start a new account, you bet $5. It doesn't even look like there's a minimum deposit, and you just get $200 in bonus bets. And that's only on DraftKings Sportsbook with the code DNVR. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY. In West Virginia, visit www.1800gambler.net. In partnership with Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races. All games regulated by the West Virginia Lottery. Please play responsibly in Connecticut. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and older in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms.
How do you do, Todd?
I love it. I love it.
I had to make a split decision because I remember like a few months ago, back when we did this all the time, they made it very clear.
Yep.
We need to do
You
the
gotta
whole
do
thing
it.
every time.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
I love it. I love hearing those commercials. And at the end of the commercials, it goes,
Oh yeah. By the time you do this like 6-7 times, you're gonna be cruising.
All right, I'm with it.
Gonna be a pro.
Speaking of DraftKings, let's hand out our DraftKings Sportsbook pick of the week right now. Did you guys know there's Monday Night Football in the preseason?
No, I didn't know that.
I woke up today and saw that, and I was like, wait, what? Today? The Ravens are playing the Commanders, and this one seems too easy over at DraftKings Sportsbook. The Ravens have won 25 straight preseason games. They're only a 1.5-point favorite playing the Commanders. Give me that all day.
Yeah, without a doubt.
I mean,
Yep.
25 out of 25 times they've won. So give me the Ravens tonight.
Yeah, it's the Broncos podcast, so I'm taking the Broncos. I think there's no way Sean leaves his first 3 preseason games without a win.
Yep.
I don't care what it takes. And if you look at our rosters, our second and third strings, who will probably be the ones playing the majority of the game, are much better than the Rams. So I look for us to, dominate in that game, finally take home a win, put the pieces together to finally get a win. And I don't see Sean losing that game. He can't lose 3 games in a row.
No.
Like, there's no way.
I totally agree.
Give me Montana to win the national championship. Just put some money, 10-1 odds. It sounds great.
Plus 1,000. All right, there's our DraftKings Sportsbook pick of the week. And let's jump in to Russell Wilson talking about how he's feeling great.
I heard about it. I want to talk, a little bit about this 15 pounds I keep hearing about. Coach brought it up. Why did you slim down? That's a lot of weight.
Well, I'm just trying to be as lean as possible, quick as possible, trying to, stay in my younger days as long as possible. Yeah, so I feel great. I've done a whole change on kind of my timing of when I eat and all that kind of stuff. So been doing a lot of intermittent fasting and stuff like that. So
that doesn't even sound a little bit fun.
It's not bad, actually. Once you get used to it, the discipline, it's good for the mind.
Yeah. What's the one food that you miss the most? What is Russell Wilson's guilty pleasure?
I'm a huge, if you go to a restaurant and there's mac and cheese, you got to try it.
Okay.
But I've been staying away from that. I grew up on that. So, but biggest thing is just trying to eat as lean as possible. Feeling good. I've been working out multiple times a day. So I feel great.
Intermittent fasting and no mac and cheese? Come on. I guess that's the discipline. But Henry, the first thing you said when we pulled that clip up was look at those arms.
Those arms.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that guy's a cannon.
Yeah.
We've known that for a decade, but it's crazy to see, especially next to K.
Right.
It's like sitting next to Zach.
Whoa.
Hey, speaking of 15 pounds, I told you I've been gaining 15
Exactly.
pounds.
I want to talk
Exactly.
a little bit about this 15 pounds I keep hearing about.
Those
Coach
guns.
brought it
And
up. Why
we've
did
seen
you
the
slim
speed, but
down?
we've also seen that
Right.
Russ has been able to throw the ball just as hard as he ever has been before.
Yeah, he's looking strong. And like you say, his footballs have had a lot of zip on them. And he's been making some good throws. So I don't think he's lost any power. And I feel like sometimes you lose power when you do lose that kind of weight. 15 to 20 pounds. You're usually not as strong. You're faster, but your strength has kind of diminished. But I really don't see that from him. I think he looks just as strong as he did last year, and maybe even stronger. So whatever he's doing, whatever he's sticking through, I know intermittent fasting is tough at times. Stick with it, man. You're looking good. Keep it going. Stay strong.
Well, and Todd, you actually cut out mac and cheese as well during your playing days. Not necessarily because it was mac and cheese, but you cut out cheese. You went vegan for a little bit while you were playing. Is it a little bit of a mind trip when you start losing weight and changing your diet, thinking okay, I want to do this because I want to be faster, a little younger, but I also don't want to lose that weight or the strength and things, or do you just trust in the plan that you're on?
It's a little bit of both because you want to be at your best. I think as athletes, people always wonder why, we don't continue to do what got us here. But over the time, we've kind of changed, whether it was our eating habits, our workout schedule, and things have worked. So I think we're always looking for that next thing to work for us, whether it's going vegan or intermittent fasting. We're always trying to better ourselves in some way. Sometimes it works out, and sometimes it doesn't. But I think we just stick with the plan. I saw DT. He was vegan. It was working out well from him. He was still strong. And so I tried it. And I felt really good. I felt like my mind was clear. I do feel like overall I lost a little bit of my strength, probably more than I wanted to. But my body felt healthy.
And so let's talk about how this is going to translate to the field and what we expect from Russ, because we saw him run for more yards than he passed for this past week. It's a 1 series sample size, so very small, 25 rushing yards, 24 passing yards. But in the past, like Henry said, Russell Wilson is the 3rd leading rusher among quarterbacks in NFL history.
Yep.
How wild is that? So who is it? It's Michael Vick and Lamar Jackson?
No. Cam Newton?
Yep.
I imagine Lamar's going to pass him fairly soon, but...
You would think. Justin Fields probably, too.
Yeah.
He's running for 1,000 a
But
year.
right now, number 3. Number 3 on that list, which is wild. And you look through Russell Wilson's career, he had over 800 rushing yards his third season in the NFL. Now, that's a while ago, but just 3 years ago in 2020, he had 513 rushing yards. I believe in his first 9 years of his career, he averaged over 500 rushing yards, which is wild for a guy that can also pass extremely efficiently as well. Now, the past 2 years, his last year with Seattle, only 183 rushing yards. Then last year with the Broncos, 277. And to me, 277 feels like a lot compared to it didn't feel like he was ever running. So I'm thinking, is he going to be at 400 this year? Is he going to be at 500 this year? Or is just the threat of running going to be there and the actual rushing yards aren't going to go up a lot?
No, I think the rushing yards are going to grow up because even last year, until really the last 2 games of the season, there were no design runs. And you saw design runs already in the preseason. I think they're going to use him for his legs. In the running game, but also his ability to escape the pocket, get out of hot water, and make a play. I'm saying he's going to have over 500 yards this year. I don't see why he wouldn't. I think that if you look at, his history, you go back to the times he did well and the seasons where they had success, above 500 is usually where they found it. So I think that he needs to be above 500, and I think he'll hit it.
Definitely. And I think just looking at this offensive line, he should be able to, because especially in the running game, they were incredible on Saturday. But even pass protecting, they were really good. Ben Powers had his issues mostly against Javon Hargrave, which is a tough assignment. Yeah. And because that one little piece of the pocket wound up getting by Ben Powers, there's just these running lanes that open up. Like when you have 4 or 5 guys protecting well, those running lanes are going to develop. And I think just improved pass protection, that means he'll have more than the 2.5 seconds to find a running lane, to roll out, to get himself into situations where he can run off script. That's going to be huge for him too.
Yeah, it is going to be huge. And when you look at the NFL nowadays, it's such a pass-friendly league. Yep. But one thing that I don't think people talk about enough is how many running quarterbacks there are. Because you think Justin Fields, Lamar Jackson. In terms of running quarterbacks, am I missing anyone that just comes to the top of your head right away?
Patrick Mahomes can escape and run.
Yep.
I would say he's a running quarterback, but he makes plays happen.
Yeah.
Even Herbert almost in that way. Not as much, but close.
And then so there's this next tier of guys
Allen
that can run. But you think of his passers, and at least I kind of overlook their running ability
Daniel
when
Jones.
I'm thinking just stats-wise. But you're right. I mean, of course, Justin Fields, who ran for over 1,000 yards last year, which is insane. Lamar Jackson, he had the second most rushing yards for quarterbacks. Then Jalen Hurts, he's probably a guy that's there too, but the threat of throwing is there. Daniel Jones, you mentioned it. Both of those guys had over 700 yards. And then you get to Marcus Mariota. He had over 400 yards. Geno Smith, almost 400 yards. Yeah. And then, like you said, we didn't even talk about the actual stats for Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert. There's so many guys that can still just move. But that's over 5 guys over 500 yards. So to say that Russ is going to get back to his old self and run for 500 yards, it's not crazy at all.
No. I think it's definitely doable.
And the reason that so many quarterbacks are doing that now is it's because it's the only way they can survive. Because right now, if you're a rookie quarterback, you're going to play. Like, there's no more sitting on the bench for 2 or 3 years, and odds are you are not ready to throw the football at an NFL level. Like, if all goes well, you complete like 60% of your passes, you throw 19 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, and you survive that first season, but you do it because you're able to get away from pressure, you're able to make plays with your legs, and so that's what Josh Allen did, that's what Daniel Jones did, that's what Justin Fields is doing right now, and you go through basically every young quarterback in the game right now. They've just been thrown into the fire, and the only ones who've been able to make it through are the guys who've been able to survive with their legs. Your Josh Rosen, that type, just no chance.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And so I think when you look at it, 500 rushing yards over 17 games, it's 29 rushing yards per game.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson had 25 in one series that he played. That was 13 snaps. So I don't think that's crazy at all. And in fact, that might be kind of a number that you want to look at to see if the Broncos offense is going to be successful. If Russ is right around there, because we know that it's going to be built not just on Russ making plays when the pocket breaks down, but it's going to be built on Sean Payton saying, we're just simply, this play's a run for Russell Wilson. So I think it's going to be really interesting. The only downside, because I think we're all down for Russell Wilson running more.
Yes.
The only downside is injuries.
Yep.
Typically, if you run more, you take more hits. More hits you take, the more likely you are to get hurt. So how do you balance that?
Slide, baby. It's not worth getting the extra 1 or 2 yards. You can slide and get a good amount of forward progress. don't put yourself in any situations. I mean, if it looks like it's close, head to the sideline. Even in the game last week, I mean, there was a defender close, and he almost just took off to the sideline. Like, I'm not taking the hit.
Yep.
And that's smart. You know, I know he's 34, and I would like to see him play like this for as many years as he can, rather than in the pocket for 3 extra. I'd rather have him play using his legs and being the best he can for 4 more instead of 7 more sitting in the pocket.
You saying that, Todd, reminds me of Peyton Manning. You're probably like, what? Running quarterback? Sliding? I want to tell you why in just a second after I tell you about our friends over at Breckenridge Distillery. Breckenridge Distillery, they've got the Battle of the Bourbons going on with Ed McCaffrey's blend and Alfred Williams blend, and you can vote on your favorite one over at BreckenridgeDistillery.com/bourbon-of-Denver-Broncos, or you can just go to BreckenridgeDistillery.com to find where you can get Breckenridge Distillery and vote on them. So they've got 2 different blends out there, one that Alfred Williams created and one that Ed McCaffrey created. And if you want to try both of them and then vote, you can win 2 tickets to the Breckenridge Bourbon Whiskey Suite for the Broncos-Chargers game on New Year's Eve. That is going to be an awesome game. That's the Broncos' last home game, and that game could be worth so much in the AFC West. And you can get tickets by voting on the Breckenridge Bourbon Battle of the Bourbons. So go to BreckenridgeDistillery.com, or you can get any of their Breckenridge Distillery products available in all 50 states. So make sure to check out Breckenridge Distillery.
And check out our friends over at Volo Sports. Volo Sports is the largest social sports company in the U.S. You can sign up now using the code DNVR10, and we play so the kids can play for free. The Volo Kids Foundation is a separate 501c3 that provides free sport camps to kids in each of the Volo cities. So it's really important. I know for me, and I know a lot of guys in the NFL, it's important to give back to your city. So this is a way for you to do it, having fun, but then also, that money goes to help your community, which couldn't be any better. So we are in the Cherry Creek Bowling League on Mondays. I don't know how good we are because I'm not a part of the team, but I'm throwing my hat in the ring. I would like to join.
Boom.
You can sign up. If you don't have a team, sign up as a free agent. They'll get you hooked up. Go check out our friends over at Volo Sports.
And so, Todd, you were mentioning Russell Wilson being smart with his body and not taking hits. And it reminded me of Peyton Manning. He didn't run much. In fact, he never ran, but he took that a step further in his career with the Broncos. Remember the self-sacks? He didn't want to get hit even when he was in the pocket. If he thought something was coming, he would just fall down.
Just drop.
Yeah. What did you guys think as players on the team? Did you have some fun with it?
Yeah, we definitely laughed about it. But at that time, he was, 45?
Yeah.
I feel you, man. Yeah. No unnecessary injuries, man. I think you got to protect yourself as a quarterback, man.
Yep. Wasn't there even one play where he dropped to the ground to self-sack, realized he wasn't going to get sacked?
And got back up?
Yeah.
That would be so frustrating as a defense if you see the quarterback. It's
so
like
bad.
that. It's like, was it Kenny Pickett
The fake
who
slide?
his final year at Pitt did the fake slide? Man, that would be so frustrating.
Yep.
Because then if you hit him next time thinking he's going to do that, you're just going to get flagged.
Exactly.
Do you think quarterback rules are unfair?
Heck yeah. They protect the quarterbacks like the president. I mean, it's definitely unfair, but the fake slide, that's a dope move. Like
It was
him
so cool.
and Mike Vicks, I think were the 2 coldest ones.
Yep.
But yeah, I think offense and quarterbacks, you can't touch the receiver after 5 yards. You can't breathe on them if the ball's in the air. Like, there's so many different, offensive friendly rules out there, and they definitely protect them.
And then you better watch yourself, too, because if you hit a quarterback late and then you complain about it after, that's just going to be 2 flags for you, and you're going to get fined.
Exactly.
30 yards.
Yeah, quarterbacks, man, they run the league. If a quarterback gets injured, that's millions and millions of dollars for these, corporations. So they protect them like the Mona Lisa, man.
You wish you were a quarterback?
Heck
you wish you
yeah.
went to Sacramento State to be a quarterback?
Heck yeah, I think quarterback life is good. And not even quarterback, I think I would love to be a backup for 20 years.
Yeah.
How good of a job is
Oh,
that?
my
Just
goodness.
back up a solid quarterback for 20 years. You make, 20 or 30 million
Yep.
and maybe have to play 10 snaps.
Yep.
That's the life.
You're like a
That is
caddy.
it. Yeah.
Like you sit in the meeting room, like give a couple tips. Say like, oh yeah, here's this. Like you don't have to actually do anything though.
Yep.
And then on top of that, once you are asked to play, if you're ever asked to play, there's no pressure on
No,
you.
if
If you do bad, oh, okay. Whereas if Todd Davis was a backup linebacker and
Yep.
came in and played bad, It's like, get this guy off the field. What's he doing? How does he not know where he's supposed to? What has he been doing all week in practice?
Exactly. You're off the field and you're on a bus headed home. Whereas that quarterback, he's going to get another shot. And they're like, oh, he was only in there for 10 plays. The quarterback, the starter had to tape his knee up or something. Man, it's too easy. It's too easy.
Yeah, it really is. And then also on top of that, I mean, we can just keep going on top of that things. It's like a perfect job to become a coach in the future. I mean, just look at Davis Webb. Yep. Davis Webb still was trying to play last year.
Yep.
And he gets offered a job from Sean Payton to be a coach. And you look at Gary Kubiak. He was a backup quarterback. He doesn't become an offensive coordinator if he doesn't make it in the league as a backup quarterback.
Yep.
So it's just a pipeline to so many other things. And then also you just don't get hit either. It's a great job. I just got a text from Kay Adams. She's hopping on in just a few minutes. So we are close to talking to the great Kay Adams. Henry, you want to be a backup quarterback?
I mean, yeah. I guess I had my opportunity. I played football through 8th grade and then joined the golf team because there was like a kid in the class in front of me who was like 6'4". He went on to play NAIA basketball, which is like a big step up there. Like we don't get many athletes like that in Columbia Falls, Montana. And so I was like, well, I'm not going to play until like my senior year. I can play freshman, JV, like, and then I'll roll the dice and hope that there isn't like some kid behind me or whatever. So I decided to play golf. I could have been a backup quarterback.
Wow.
Dang.
I think I played it right.
Just imagine how cool you would have been walking around the halls on game days, a backup quarterback.
Clean jerseys, but at the same time you get to say, I am a quarterback.
That's true. That is true. Yeah, you don't even have to like put the helmet on and keep the hair looking nice.
Yeah. Exactly.
And no matter what happens, you can always say, man, if they would just give me my shot, man, we would have won that game.
So true. It's like, the receiver was wide open. You just make
How
that
did
one
he
throw.
miss that?
Yeah.
And you said the starting quarterback was 6'4"?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe 6'5".
You could have played it off like, man, they're not going to see where my head is looking at the receivers. The
Yeah.
defense is going to have no idea where it's coming.
That's the other thing is I stopped growing in like middle school.
Me too.
And so that was kind of, well,
Me too.
Yeah, I have nothing to say
you're
about
only
that.
like 2 inches taller than me. Get
That's
out
true.
of here.
That is true.
Todd, playing against shorter quarterbacks, is there an advantage for him?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough for them to see over the line, but it's also tougher for us to see them. So they can kind of hide behind there. And, you know, I think that's why Russ can escape the pocket so well. Sometimes he does get lost behind Ben Powers or Cushenberry. Like, sometimes you can't see him. And then by the time you get a glimpse of him, he's already out.
Yeah.
And you're trying to chase him down. So, you know, it is tough to see those shorter quarterbacks.
And when you think of prototype quarterbacks, I should say prototype pocket quarterbacks, you think of Peyton Manning, 6'5", 230, with a rocket laser arm, as he said in that commercial. Trevor Lawrence is going to be the first quarterback that's 6'6" or taller that will ever succeed in the NFL if he does. How crazy is that?
That is crazy.
Yeah, no one's ever done it.
Dang.
How tall
one's
is
ever
Ben
done
Roethlisberger?
Probably 6'5".
Yeah, it's probably 6'5".
Yeah,
I guess he must
You're
be.
questioning my stats right now?
Yeah.
No,
All right.
I would never.
No more questioning me. It's time to go out and talk to Kay Adams, the one, the only Kay Adams. She's the host of Up and Adams. Go subscribe to the show on YouTube at Up and Adams. Give her a follow on Twitter. Hey, Kay Adams. She's incredibly talented, and we are so lucky to have you on. Kay, thank you so much for joining us.
You guys, the show looks awesome. It looks but I promise Broncos fans, I will be back very often this season.
Yes,
Really?
That's what we need to hear. So we need to thank you for that. We also need to thank you. So many people in the Denver media texted me when they saw that you were going to be on. They said, you have to thank Kay Adams for the donuts she brought in for us on Thursday. I mean, Kay, you just you come into Denver and you just won everyone's hearts over.
Like literally nothing, like that is now my advice to everyone. I didn't even give it a thought. I always bring something just because why not? And I'm always like in everyone's space when I come visit anywhere. So I feel bad. And then this donut thing like had a life of its own. It's hilarious. All it takes to like win over guys who work in sports media, like that's how bad we all have it. The young women, the men, like just give some donuts and it's as if you like gave them a private jet. Like that is like what the life is. Cause everyone's just, we just want to be fed. It's 190 degrees out there. We're working our tails off. That's all it takes, a little Krispy Kreme vibe. Voodoo donuts, by the way, delicious.
Oh, yes,
Voodoo
they
is
are
so good.
so good. When
They're
I saw
so
those
good.
pink boxes in there, I was like, yes. And then I waited, and there were none left. So I'm going to have you come back and bring more Voodoo Donuts for me. But, Kate, you mentioned that you have been all around the country these past 2 or 3 weeks, stopping at nearly every single training camp. I got to start here. Where in the world is Kay Adams today?
I am in Los Angeles, where we had like a hurricane and an earthquake. They made a baby and it turned into like Armageddon here, but that's okay. We are all okay, I hope, in LA, at least everyone I know. So I'm back here. I visited Chargers camp before I went out to Broncos camp, but I'm done with the tour. I'm just ready for action. And you guys had plenty of it with Denver this weekend.
Oh my gosh, yes, we did. And I mean, speaking of the action, Kay, you came in here and you probably had more access than anyone in Denver has had since Sean Payton took over. You talked to Sean Payton, you talked to Russell Wilson, you talked to Courtland Sutton, you talked to Jeudy, and then you also got information that people in Denver have been dying for. You got that Russ has lost 15 pounds. You also got Sean Payton to wear the Gilligan hat, sunglasses, while doing an interview sitting on the sideline. I mean, incredible. So I have to ask you, with all of that, what was your number one takeaway? What was the number one thing that surprised you? What did you come away from being in Denver and thought, wow?
Well, I was not wowed at all by Coach Sean Payton, because I tracked his career for a long time. I think he is, half pirate, half wizard, half maniac, half completely obsessed with the passion of the game that he missed over the year. So I knew the culture change was going to be soup to nuts. He is the most controlling. Everything matters. Every decision matters when it comes to Coach Payton. So I was not surprised by that at all, because that's what I saw and I would hear about him when he was with New Orleans for so many years successfully. But I think that not the surprise, but what I loved seeing was a bit of a familial atmosphere at camp. And I really liked hearing from Jeudy and Courtland Sutton about their quarterback, their reverence for him, their sort of bond with him on and off the field. Like, they're hanging out. People think that maybe Russell's a little bit untouchable. And that certainly isn't the case. There's camaraderie. There's relationships that go within the families, the wives, all of that. Like, that's stuff that I pay attention to, because that very much matters. And asking them about each other and what that wide receiver room looks like. But I think, like, when it comes to the X's and O's, it's going to be totally Sean Payton catering to his quarterback and what it's going to take to get the best out of him. I think they both have pedigree. They're both well paid. They're both made men. So I think that actually is going to be what makes their relationship work. Because otherwise, you have a bit of, like, Russell, who's very wholesome, versus Sean, who's not. So I was curious how that relationship would work, but it seems like it's going really well, and we're seeing it on the field already.
Definitely. Last year the Broncos had a bunch of primetime games, especially early in the season. They were all pretty gross games, though. I think like the 49ers game was 11-10 or something like that. From an outside perspective, are you sick of seeing the Broncos after last season? Or are you actually excited to get a chance to see what happens this year, whether there's some sort of like comeback story?
Oh my gosh, how can you be sick of it? It's it's one of the better headlines and storylines of the season. I don't want people to talk about Denver, though. I don't. Last year, I think that's what Coach Payton was trying to say in some of the comments that were whatever they were. I don't want to even talk about them, but just sort of like, this winning the offseason doesn't really matter, right? Like, winning, like having the storyline, the hot flashy quarterback, the pick, all of that, like, none of it matters. And this team has now had an opportunity, I think, to sort of put their heads down. Just, I was asked by another media outlet, like, well, like Russell Wilson, he's always in the headlines for like these things. Like, well, when's the last time like Russell Wilson was in the headlines for something that was being misconstrued, or some marketing thing, or some whatever, or it's been not since Sean Payton's been there. No, it is like, let's grind, let's work on our stuff. I got the opportunity after practice, after I talked to them, to sort of walk around the facility a little bit, ran into Patrick Surtain, who a lot of people know and say is the best player on that team, somebody that's obviously leads by example. He's got pedigree, he's got it all, the talent. And just the way that this team is meshing, just the way that it is culturally, is going to take them already a long way. So I'm really excited. Like, this team can go from, bottoms to the tops pretty quickly. I know it's a tough division. I know that this team has not beaten the Chiefs since 2015. I know the affinity, the love, the admiration Coach Sean Payton has for Patrick Mahomes and company is huge. He wanted to draft him. Drew Brees was in the building, and he said, I think we should take this Patrick Mahomes guy, and then he couldn't. So he knows what he's all about, and it's going to be a gauntlet, but it's a fight that they're willing to put in. There's a couple questions. I'm not trying to say it's going to be beautiful, but it's not all on offense. It's what's Vance Joseph, what are you going to do with that defense? Like, do we have the pass rushers that are going to attack these AFC West quarterbacks? That's what I'm looking for. Is it Randy Gregory? Is it Frank Clark? Question mark? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. I think that it's going to be an interesting season for the Broncos overall. I know that we talked about you traveling really all across the country, visiting other teams. What is something that's unique to the Broncos that you're excited about for this season?
You have a coach who had a year off, and I asked him about it, and that's unique in and of itself. And as much as he wants to say, I'm not sweating the big stuff, and I think he missed football every time that he put on a suit and went to Fox. This is me saying it, not him. I think he went. I think he had a great time, but there's no way that was like fulfilling to him. He has mulled over, thought about it. He had all of the options ahead of him on the table. Where do I want to go coach? Where do I want to take my talents? He chose this Broncos organization. He chose it because of the leadership there, because of the ownership group, because of the history. I talked to Coach a lot this past visit about what this team is. This team is no, newfangled, like a Bengal squad, even or Chargers squad. All 32 teams are excited. Like, no, we're waiting for a return to what we know this team can be. It's similar, it's sort of like the vibe of the Niners. Like, there's pedigree, there are banners, there are 8 like conference championships hanging in that indoor facility. Like, Coach likes that. Coach buys into that. The banners of all the players, the Atwaters, the Peyton Mannings, the Shannon Sharps, all of it. This is a community that knows their football, that expects a lot from their football team. And I think the allure of the return to greatness is something that is really unique. And having a coach who really fully understands that and who is a little bit of a madman with a Super Bowl caliber quarterback who can play action himself with 15-pound loss into greatness is amazing. The question there, of course, to me, is Javonte Williams, who I don't expect to see really anything of until game action.
Yeah, and Kay, you mentioned the 49ers. You mentioned not being sick of the Broncos on primetime, wanting to see them. And the very first time that the NFL can flex a game is week 5. And that's Jets-Broncos. They have the 2 o'clock game right now. The primetime game is Cowboys-49ers. Which one, from an outside perspective, is better for primetime? You think it's the Jets-Broncos with all the drama that's been around there? Or do you think that's just going to be too hard to bump Cowboys and 49ers off primetime?
Too hard to bump the Cowboys. It's just like the national narrative. It's like that's one of the wildest things. Like, they haven't won in forever and they still get all the national love. That will be a very hard. Listen, I worked for the NFL for 6 years, and I promise you, it's like, where can we put the Cowboys in the show? Like, where can we? It rates. They are America's team, even if you don't like it. So I think that'll be a really tough task. It'll be so interesting to see, though, if the Broncos come out to a hot start, what that will look like. If you have 2 teams that look really good, that might change things. I will say the Jets, their hardest part of their entire gauntlet schedule is those first couple weeks where they're taking on Mahomes on a Sunday nighter. Then they have you before. I mean, they open up their season with some rough games. Yeah. So if they're flailing, if they're losing, I don't see that being a game that has a chance to be flexed.
That's fair. And I think you said it, Cowboys are just going to be too hard to take off.
Definitely. Our guy Jimmy Palmtrees comes through here like every other week or so. Yeah, and he's on the show. So I was just wondering if you have any like.
Tell him he's fired. Like, it's now my time.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. Do you have like any dirt, any stories or anything that we can like hold against him?
I came to camp this past time, and it was the one day he didn't show up.
Mm-hmm.
So of course,
we have a grudge against him. I don't know what that is, but he said that it wasn't his assignment. Jimmy Palmtrees, let's see. No, he's like a great hang. There are very few people work-wise that can get me out on like a school night. He'd moonlight on Good Morning Football, and it was like, yeah, we're going to town. Like, yeah, we're going out. Like, what, he's just a good hang in that way. So I would maybe say Gosh, I don't know. I would make fun of his haircut quite a bit.
Okay.
On the air though, but I would, it was always perfectly, like, I don't know what he was putting in that thing, but it was not moving in Hurricane Hillary. It would have been fine. He likes to have a good time, but man, I can't say anything negative about old Jimmy Palmtrees. I miss him.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have you on next time he's on with us. And Kay, before we get you out of here, I feel like it wouldn't have been fair to have you on the show without playing a little game. So we're gonna play a game called OK. And the way this goes is I'm gonna read you some statements, some questions, and if you do think it's going to happen, that's probably good for the Broncos, and K is good, so you're going to say K. If you don't think it's going to happen, you're going to say, oh, probably not good for the Broncos. So here we go, a little game of OK. The Broncos will beat the Jets in Week 5 and prove Sean Payton right.
The Broncos, okay. Let's go. I think the Jets are going to need a little bit of time to gel, a little bit more time. I'm going to give it to the Broncos, especially with where the game is.
Boom. Love it. The Broncos will end their 15-game losing streak to the Chiefs at some point this year.
They will win one of two.
Boom.
There's a coach who would sweep the floor with Tom Brady twice a year, okay, with the Saints. So I think that we can get one win over Patrick.
Boom. Russell Wilson will return to the Pro Bowl this year.
Well, I don't count things in Pro Bowls. I think he'll return to form. I will say that. I don't know about Pro Bowls. I don't dabble in that world, but he will be Pro Bowl form. I will say that.
Do you dabble in 1,000-yard seasons with Jerry Jeudy? Do you think he'll get 1,000 yards?
She just got to stay healthy.
Yeah.
I talked to him, and it was almost like the vibe I was getting was like, no, Kay, you don't understand. I'm such a good route runner that my ankles keep getting hurt. Like, I'm so crispy. That's why it keeps happening. Like, that's the vibe I was getting. Coach was really positive. So was Russell Wilson on both of them. I'm going to give Courtland Sutton the better year over Jerry Jeudy based off what I'm hearing about Courtland's work ethic and what he wants out of this experience and what he knows he has in front of him with Sean.
Yeah, and I think Courtland, the day you were out of camp, had a really good day, and he's been showing that. Okay, just a couple more. The Broncos will make the playoffs this year.
Oh, man.
That's a tough one.
She didn't say okay.
I don't rule it out, but the Chargers look really great. It's Staley versus Sean Payton, who you got. That's it. But I'm telling you, Justin Herbert might be my MVP choice of the year.
Oh my God! I shouldn't have asked that one, Kay. I shouldn't have asked that one. And
he's so good and so underrated. I'm not saying he's going to be, but he's healthy. They're going to be good.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, last one here. Sean Payton will win a Super Bowl at some point in his time in Denver.
I was thinking about how long is he going to be in Denver? Like, is he liking it? I was trying to sort of not ask him, but gauge what he likes it there, guys. He's liking Denver. He likes it. You can tell. He'll be there for a while. So I'm going to say that madman, if everyone can stay healthy, absolutely has the potential to do it. Yeah, why not? You have to think that way. Why not?
Boom. I love it. And Kay, you mentioned that you're going to be out here in Denver again. So the final one, I guess, is Kay Adams will come to Denver again this year and will come to our studio and do a little live show with us.
Where's the studio?
In what, downtown Denver, pretty much? Mm-hmm. Yeah. We actually, speaking of Jimmy Palmtrees going out, we have a bar right under us. We are partnering with the bar. We've got a bar here. So, I mean, we could turn it into a fun night.
Jimmy Palmtrees is out. He's out. Somebody said Kay's already firing people. She fits right in. Yes. Jimmy Palmtrees. I love ya. You're too busy. By the way, like, you don't just cover that. You cover all the teams in that division. Like, it's just weird. We just need a little fresh page, and that's me. Okay, I fired Jimmy. Tyson K. He's out. I'm in. And does Jimmy buy the drinks?
Oh,
wow.
We'll make him. Yeah, of course.
know what I'm saying? I'll buy the drinks.
Oh,
my goodness.
Yes, yeah. I guess Jimmy actually doesn't buy them.
He's trying to get you guys to like buy him a wine cooler. I won't do that to you.
Oh my gosh, Kay, you are the best. Thank you so much for being on. Awesome insight. And everyone, make sure to go follow her on Twitter at Hey Kay Adams and subscribe to her YouTube channel, Up and Adams Show. Kay, thank you so much.
We've got Gronk, we've got Nick Foles on. I think we have Calais Campbell on this week. So it's a nice look at the NFL, really heavily interview based. I want to give you guys the best information, and it comes straight from the players and coaches' mouths. So thank you guys for the time. Congrats on the show and the success, and I'll see you guys soon. Sorry,
Right
Jim.
on. Thank you so much, Kay. And I mean, she's had so much great information from Pat Surtain, Jerry Jeudy, Sean Payton. I mean, not just from last week. She's had all of those people on her show as exclusive interviews just over the last few months. So definitely make sure to go to Up and Adams Show on YouTube. Maybe wait until after our show's done so you don't leave our show right now. And check it out because she's close to 10,000 subscribers. Let's get her to 10,000. When we had Megan Payton on, we were able to boost her following a lot. So make sure to give Kay Adams a follow there. And man, that was awesome.
That was really cool. Yeah.
What was your biggest takeaway from that?
I don't know that this is a takeaway as much as I just enjoyed her talking about Broncos history and how this is a historical organization and that that's something that Sean Payton really likes and that he wants to add to it because it's true. And I think that it's easy to forget because of the 7 losing seasons. But I mean, during the 7 losing seasons, that's when they lost the record, more Super Bowl appearances than losing seasons in their history. So they should be back. Like, the Broncos belong in the playoffs. Like, they should be one of the best teams. And I like hearing Kay say that.
Yeah, and absolutely. The thing that I found shocking is something that I don't think we've heard at all. She's talking about the family feel in the organization with Sean Payton. He was supposed to bring the opposite of Nathaniel Hackett. And Nathaniel Hackett kept saying time and time again when he was hired, I want this to be a place where people want to come and work, where people enjoy working here. Sean said, we're going to do the opposite. Now, he didn't necessarily say that I want it to be a miserable place to work, but he said, this is going to be a grind. Training camp's not going to be easy. These guys are going to work very, very hard. Sometimes when you hear that, that can translate into, I don't really like being here. I don't really want this family. It's not going to be a family atmosphere. So for her to say that actually kind of struck me in a way of like, okay, there is going to be a good culture on top of just the grind that they're going to go through.
Yeah, I think, sometimes you bind through the grind. You come together.
Bind through the grind.
Yeah, when you're going through the hardest times in training camp, the hardest days, it's really become a family. And I think that within a family, you can work hard. It doesn't have to be easy, but you can still be a family, inside the room. And that's something that we definitely had when we won the Super Bowl. I mean, guys hung out all the time, whether it was here in the facility or if it was out at Von's house on a Friday or Thursday night. Like, guys were always together, so it definitely felt like a family. So that's why when you got on the field, you kind of knew what your brother was thinking or what was going through his mind or the way that he was going to play this pass rush. We had so much bonding time that we really became a family, and I think that really played into our success. And for me, I think the biggest thing I take away from her interview is you hear the excitement in her voice about the potential of this team. And she's not necessarily a Broncos fan, but I think everybody is excited and wants to see the Broncos do good with Sean Payton coming in. I mean, I was like seconds away from calling my agent and say, reach out to Sean, like I could come back, just because I think he is such a good coach and he has the ability to really turn a program around. He's already done it once before in a program that was actually worse than what we're dealing with. So there's no reason why, the mad scientist can't do it again.
Do I need to take your phone away so you don't leave us for
No,
the Broncos?
I almost did. I'm here, baby. I'm here.
I don't think I'd be able to take your phone away for very long anyways.
Yeah, I could
be
do
able to outmuscle.
I could do a show from the field too.
Oh,
How cool would that be?
okay.
That would be good.
Literally inside the locker room with Todd Davis.
He'll call in, just like Kay Adams, he'll call in after every game.
Yeah.
Mic you up every game.
Ooh,
Exclusive mic'd up. Yeah.
Live mic'd up.
Yeah. But if I miss a tackle, I'm not doing it. I'm turning off the
We
mic.
lost
I'm
the
out.
footage. Yeah.
You don't miss tackles though, so it's good. We don't have to worry about that.
I like that.
Man, Kay Adams said, let's grind. What if Sean came in here and he's like, Russ, Let's ride's over. Let's grind, baby.
Russ would like nothing more. Like he would love that so much. He'd be like, oh yeah, let's grind, and then just say it over and over again.
Thinking about it, that like maybe should have been his slogan from the start. Because he's all about that. That is his like life motto.
It's not horse related though. Let's ride is Bronco related, you know?
Yeah.
It flows well.
Yeah. It took me months to realize that.
Oh,
until I think I saw it in his Twitter bio with the horse next to it, and I'm like, oh, and the Broncos, you connect the dots.
Yep.
Did you get that right away?
I think I got it pretty early.
Yeah, dang.
Yeah.
Well, something I need to tell you about. Kay Adams might be coming to the DNVR bar, and so should you.
Yes.
You should come by, check out the bar. We're now open for lunch.
Yep.
Just coming out, starting today, we're open for lunch. In fact, people who work at DNVR are already getting lunch. I've already seen it delivered. We're open at 11 a.m. now, so come by the bar for lunch. And also, become a diehard, because when you're a diehard, you're going to get 20% off or 15% off your tab at the bar, whether you're coming for lunch, whether you're coming for dinner, whether you're coming for a Broncos game. Make sure to become a diehard, and maybe soon in your welcome box, we're going to have a little Todd Davis sign something in there. And so there's so many perks. I mean, you get a free shirt of your choice when you sign up. Every single year when it renews, you get that as well. So many perks. So become a diehard over at thednvr.com.
Yeah, come check us out, man. I think the burgers are really good here. I think I have one every game day, so come check out a burger. It's gonna be hot outside, so come in and get some fresh air. But then when you're outside and the heat and the sun's out, check out our friends at Shady Rays. Using code DNVR for 50% off of your deal. Take on the sun with gear that's built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered for the warm weather ahead with premium polarized shades at an affordable price. I mean, you can't beat that. I know Hank has a couple pairs. I need to get my hands on a few pairs. If you lose them, if you break them, even on the day you first get them, I mean, they'll replace them, which can't be beat. No questions asked. I might buy a pair and lose a pair just to make sure I'm covered. So check out our friends at Shady Rays. Again, use code DNVR to get 50% off your deal.
And the customer service is just that good.
Yep.
It's that good.
Speaking of good customer service, if anybody wants a free cold brew and croissant, go to the Starbucks on Colfax and Milwaukee and say you're Henry, because the line was too long and I had to come here. So
no.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you left it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Probably should have offered that earlier. It's probably like melted now.
Oh,
I wasn't sure what to do. Like I looked and like there's no way to cancel it.
Dang.
So I was just like, well, there goes my $4 and 100 stars.
You're probably the MVP today of showing up without your coffee.
Yeah. Oh, I needed that coffee too, because I was writing late last night. I was like, okay, this is just gonna be rough, but I'm gonna go to Starbucks in the morning, get it, and then there was like 10 cars in line.
Dang.
So, but that is probably still sitting there. So if anybody wants it, go say you're Henry.
Todd, do you have to have coffee to live?
I do like coffee. Not every day, but I think it's the perfect way to jumpstart your day when you're feeling a little groggy. I start my day with a workout every day. So that pre-workout is still in me for about an hour and a half. But once that wears off, a good cup of coffee will kind of get me through the rest of the day.
Yep. I'm with you. I don't need it, but I mean, if you can have it, why not?
Yeah.
Little boost. Okay, so speaking of great things, our comment section has been popping off today. So many people tune in, but not enough likes. Hit us with a thumbs up. We'd really appreciate. Show us that you like us when we have big time guests on like Kay Adams, so we can have more of those on. It's good feedback to show us which shows you guys like, which shows you maybe weren't the biggest fans of. So if you like this one and Kay Adams on, hit us with a thumbs up. Really helps us out.
That's why RK isn't here anymore.
Why? Oh, yeah.
Not enough thumbs up on the shows. We just banned him.
Dang, you're right. Yeah, a lot of people were chiming in and saying Jimmy Palmtrees isn't the one who's fired. Ryan is the one that's fired.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, tough when you're Ryan these days. People just firing him left and right. Hank, you were hired today.
When you're Ryan, it's tough.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we say, right? Okay, let's hop into the comment section. We got a super chat coming in. Let's hit it. Coming in from Crudeman says, will I see you guys at the tailgate October 8th for the smashing of the Jets? Booked game tickets, tailgate tickets, hotel, and join the DNVR family. First time traveling to Denver and attending an NFL game. Food recommendations. Well, first off, yes, you'll see us there. That's going to be an awesome game. What a great game to go to for your first Broncos game here in Denver. Food recommendations. Todd, someone's coming to Denver for the first time. Where are you sending them?
There's a couple spots around town I really like. If you like ramen, I like Uncle. You guys been to Uncle? Fantastic place.
So good.
If you want sushi, Masuhisu is a really good sushi spot. We're big foodies, so we go to a lot of different places. If you want like a speakeasy, you could do...
Even though the speakeasy.
Yeah, maybe I can't tell you. I'm trying to think of a way to put it so that I'm not giving away all the sauce. But yeah, man, there's a lot of great spots in Denver's. Definitely Google some speakeasies, and you'll be able to find your way around.
There's one that's right across the street from me that I didn't even know about.
That's a real speakeasy then.
Yeah. Well, but then this weird thing happens where like every night, like I'll just be coming back from the gym or something at like 9 o'clock and just be like, people seem to be dressed really nice here. Like what is going on? Like why are so many people just staying on the sidewalk? And it would just happen over and over and over again. But then it was like last week, it was with RK and some friends. They were just like, yeah, let's go to the speakeasy. I was like, okay. And I was like, wait, this is a speakeasy and like an ice cream shop. It's like across the street from me. It's wild.
So working ice cream shop?
Yeah. But almost nobody was buying ice cream, which was so weird because somebody has to stand there and just like not serve ice cream for all day.
So are they serving drinks in there, or then do you go somewhere else, like through a back door?
Like Todd said, can't give away
Can't
all the
give it
details.
away. Can't give it away. There's another spot I remember now called GNBC, Girls and Boys Club. And it's kind of like in some alley in Cherry Creek. You got to find a special doorbell. I can't tell you where it is, but if you hit them up, send them a text to get a reservation. They'll give you all the details. And I just think it's so cool to walk into something that maybe look like an ice cream shop and there's a whole bar with fantastic drinks and food, or this one that's in the side of down an alley that you probably wouldn't even find yourself in unless you're going to a specific speakeasy. So I think they're cool.
That's the only one in Denver I've been to.
Yeah.
And it's so cool the way you get a reservation is by texting them. It does feel like a speakeasy, like back in the day. So those are some great recommendations.
Also Illegal Pete's.
Illegal Pete's. Yes.
So that's the best lunch spot.
Yeah. Quick dinner.
Especially
drinks,
like
happy hour.
Like post game.
Yeah.
Post game, you walk over there because you get to show the ticket, get a free drink, and then get like a burrito after the game. What could be better?
Yeah, no, it is the perfect place to go. So great question, and look forward to seeing you in Denver. Let's hop over to the website and talk to the people on the DNVR.com. First comment coming in from tastes good, says, random question. Speaking, I mean, that just played right into what we were talking about last time. Random question, but is Trey Lance worth a 5th-round pick? I know he's been incubating with Kyle Shanahan, but my hope is high with Sean Payton. Maybe his style would click while he watches Russ for a year. Trey doesn't play like Purdy, LOL.
A 5th round? I think he's worth a 5th-round pick for sure. If that's what it would take to get him. I know that we have like a little bit of a backup competition. I think that if he was brought on, I think he would play, a significant role as a backup here. And for a 5th round, that's not a lot, given what he was drafted at to get him.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be a good deal for sure. It's just tough because, he has... Oh, I guess if they trade him, so he actually has a $9 million cap hit this year, but if they trade him, it's only $900,000 for the new team. And basically same thing happens next year. So in that case, if you don't have to pay him anything, then sure, why not give him a 5th-round pick for him? At the same time, he's on the bench this year. Russell Wilson's still going to be here next year, and maybe you're willing to have some sort of competition, but that's the last year that he's on the rookie deal. So the year after, I guess you could pick up the 5th-year option. You probably haven't seen enough before next season, though, to say we want the 5th-year option. But if you give him that, then it's probably, $20 million, $22 million probably that you're paying him. So the numbers just go up pretty quickly, and I wonder how much you get out of him in 2 years. But yeah, for a 5th-round pick, it'd be fun.
Yeah, and how much are you going to have to pay him with him sitting in the back of a roster, not doing much, really learning?
True.
I don't know if any team's going to be jumping off the bridge to go for him. So, maybe you don't have to give him that fifth-year option, and then you can re-sign him for something much cheaper. Who knows?
Yeah.
Now, we're all really encouraged with Russ over the past 3 weeks, training camp, the first 2 games, but are we sold that he is the future quarterback here for the next 5 years?
5 years is a long time.
What do you think I was going to say?
I just didn't think there'd be a time on it.
Yeah, for the rest of his contract.
I mean, maybe not for the rest of it, but I mean, at least for the next few, just because
you're sold on it.
100%.
Yep.
You can't get rid of it. He has to be so bad to think about eating, next year, an $85 million cap hit. That's ridiculous. Like, he would have to be so bad. And beyond that, probably, like, bad in the locker room to not just, like, hold on to him. So when you have that deal, like, he's just the guy for the next 3 years, and you can't really consider anything else until he forces your hand, I think, and makes you reevaluate.
Yeah, I think he's the guy. I think he's played well enough, and I don't know any other quarterbacks that you could bring in that you wouldn't pay more, and any quarterbacks that will be available in that time period. I think you stick with Russ. I think he's going to be great for the next 3 or 4 years. And then you trade up to get Arch Manning in the draft, and then we roll from there.
Okay, I'm sold on that plan, Todd. But I'm shocked that you guys are already sold that Russ is the guy for the next 5-ish years or so, or the next couple of years. I need to see it consistently in the regular season. 4 games in, I can absolutely be sold, but I'm very encouraged. But I'm not sold. And until you're sold on your starting quarterback for the long-term future, if you can get a guy that was 3 first-round picks were traded for him to get him, you can get him for a 5th-round pick.
I would do it.
Of course you do it. And if that means you carry 3 quarterbacks and you cut DiNucci or something, or the Jared Stidham contract doesn't look as good, to me, it's still totally worth it. So we all agree just for different reasons. But yeah, 5th-round pick, easy there. All right, next comment coming in from Bronc Oilers says, Russ has gotten a lot of credit for his physical transformation, but I'm more encouraged to see he's humbled himself enough to accept that his best self when he's the pilot, not the plane, particularly considering the circumstances that led to him leaving Seattle. His legacy won't ever be 5,000 passing yards, 50 touchdown seasons. It'll be the 4th quarter comebacks, the game-winning drives, the scramble drill to hit his guy 40 yards downfield, running for a first on 4th and 8 to keep the game alive. His path to the Hall of Fame will be by being a winner. When you look back at the quarterback play during our 3 Super Bowl championship seasons, it becomes pretty evident that it's the Broncos' way. You don't need to light up the stat sheet. You just need to make the plays that need to be made in order to win.
That was a great message.
It was.
I feel like that was like New York Times ready to post. But no, I think he's 100% right. I think he doesn't have to be Superman. He doesn't have to go out and break records. He just has to make the plays that need to be made. I think going back to Payton, the year we won a Super Bowl, he wasn't his best, but when we needed a touchdown, when we got a pick and it was a close game, he found a way to make it happen. I think that's all Russ needs to do, is to make the plays that need to be made, put together some long drives, some nice 10, 11 play drives that end in touchdowns. And, he doesn't have to be Superman.
Like you said, the plays at the end of the game. Like, that's when you need your quarterback. Like Sean Payton always says, that 2-minute drill. Like, most games come down to those final 2 minutes. Somebody gets the ball with a chance to either tie it or win it or whatever it is. And that's what Russell Wilson's been good at. You just have to have the team put him in those situations. He's tied for 12th all-time in game-winning drives. Actually, I mean, it's kind of a weird list. He's tied, I guess, with Carson Palmer, Phillip Rivers. Right behind him is Derek Carr, which is just a little bit shocking. But I guess, like, the Raiders probably come from behind a lot. So it's
more opportunities.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, in terms of active quarterbacks, only, I guess, Tom Brady just retired. Matt Ryan just retired. So only Matthew Stafford has more game-winning drives. You just got to put him in those situations and don't break the game before you get to that point.
Matthew Stafford, boy, it feels like it's been forever since he's been relevant, and he just won a Super Bowl, 18 months ago?
That is weird.
That's wild. That's wild. He's coming to town just a couple of days.
True.
Bronc Oiler also adds, got to get Jaleel McLaughlin a new number. We can't have him out here rocking 38 anymore. Do you think 38's a bad number
That's
for him?
a terrible number. You don't want 38. I mean, 38, 69.
69's bad?
Heck yeah, you don't want to wear 69.
I so agree.
I guess
it's funny, but you don't really want that as your number.
It looks bad.
There's a couple other numbers that are just terrible. But yeah, you want a cool number, especially as a running back. And now you can wear single digits.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, like
especially
a 5
small guy?
or I know you can't wear 5 now, but like a single digit as a small guy.
Yeah,
that would be dope.
Yeah.
Number 1's available, right? Because KJ Hamler's no longer on the team.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a
he's
good
sort of
number.
on the team, but yeah.
And one's a perfect number. If you're the man and you're wearing number 1, yeah, that's a
You
great
gotta
number.
be like, you have to be the man though.
Yeah.
Like, you can't be like, hey, yeah, he's nice when he gets in. Like, number 1, it comes with high expectations.
Well, he just can't be the man. So if you're the equipment guys or Sean Payton, are you not letting him take number 1? And why I say he can't be the man is he's the 3rd running back on the team right now. He's probably never going to be your starter, at least this year, when he'd be wearing that number. So you're just not allowing it, Henry?
It depends on what's happening with KJ. Like, if they actually have talked with KJ and said, like, yeah, we're just going to leave you off the roster, we're going to bring you back, giving away his number would kind of be a dick move. Mm-hmm. So if KJ isn't, if that deal hasn't been all set up, then sure, give him number 1. But otherwise, like, don't take the guy's number.
Who are you more confident in having a role on this team this year, KJ Hamler or Julian McLaughlin?
Ooh, that's tough.
That is tough.
Because
really?
one's injured now on the
an
team.
undrafted rookie.
But Jalil is playing at a really high level. But we
really
know
well.
what KJ can do when he's healthy. So it's just the fact that he's not technically on the team right now. You can't choose him as, even though you know what he can do.
Yeah.
So I think McLaughlin's going to have a better year. But there is kind of a hierarchy to numbers. Yeah. Like, even though a number's available, you still got to go talk to the staff to get it. Yeah. And they easily will be like, nah, you might have to pick another number. Like, this is how it is.
When Jonathan Cooper got number 0, I was a little surprised. Because, like, I think he'd started, like, 14 games in 2 years. So it's like he's been around, he's played. But I thought somebody else might be higher on the priority list to take that. But maybe nobody wanted it.
Yeah, I think you got to be unique to want 0. I don't think I would ever want 0. I would want a single digit like 9 or 7 or 5. But I don't know if I would want 0. I think that's just a different.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's a different kind of number.
I feel similar about 1, where 1 is just a little bit too.
Oh no, 1 is fire.
I mean, yeah, it's fire, but it's almost too fire.
It's too hot.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
What do you think about 1 on like a big defense, like on pot roast?
No.
Oh man,
no.
I think it's dope when outside linebackers. So maybe not interior, but outside linebackers with single digits. That's dope. Interior, maybe you can go down to the 30s, maybe the 40s and 50s. I think are the lowest. You should probably go.
I think that's fair. I think Randy 50s. Gregory looks so cool in number 5.
Yeah, 5 is dope.
He rocks that. Well, did you ever have any issues with numbers with the hierarchy?
Or
did you ever trump anyone?
No, I think when I got to Minnesota, it was tough trying to find a number because so many were taken. And maybe I asked for 1. I don't think I got it, but I ended up getting 40, which was cool.
Yeah.
But I've seen a lot of guys pay guys for numbers. If you want a certain number, I mean, guys will give you, 20, 30,000 depending on how big of a name they are, and they're coming over and you already have the number. So, yeah.
Especially if you're a guy that is probably willing to give up your number. You probably don't have the biggest contract anyway, so to get tens of thousands of dollars, here's my number.
Well, exactly. I'm on practice squad anyway.
Yeah,
I wasn't.
Exactly.
I'm probably not gonna wear it in the game. Take it.
Yeah. I asked DJ Jones what he offered Draymond last year to get number 93 because that's what he wore with the 49ers. He's like, I can't tell you. And I was like, yeah, fair enough. Especially because like Draymond turned it down, which is interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not drama, but it's interesting that he would say like, I don't want that money. I'll take 93.
Yeah. Well,
especially on his first deal.
Well, yeah, and maybe he was knowing what type of deal was coming his way.
Yeah, he knew he was going to get paid.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, real quick, just running through the single-digit number is going to be tough to get outside of number 1. Like unless Ben DiNucci and PJ Locke get cut, then 6 would be open. Probably not going to happen. But in the 20s, Essang Bassey at 21, probably safe, but you never know. Yeah. Kareem probably safe at 22. Tremont Smith. Probably off the roster, I'd say. But, I mean, he's right on the bubble right now. 23 is a good number. 24, they don't give out to anybody because of Champ Bailey, except for Pac-Man Jones. They let Pac-Man take it. Yeah, nobody else can touch it, but Pac-Man was able to take it.
Pac-Man.
Samaje at 25. Tony Jones has 26. If Jaleel makes it, Tony Jones probably doesn't, so that could be an option. Tamari's got 27. No. 28 will be available with Art Green. That's objectively better than 38, right? Like 28, right. Just... Faion Hicks, probably potentially available. 29. Yeah. Then you get into the 30s. But there should be some decent options in the 20s.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if he's just going to want to rock with 38 since that was the number of the misspelled jersey.
No, you got to get better, man. I had a 95 in preseason. There's no way I could have wore that.
Was that with the Saints? Huh? Was that with the Saints?
Yeah. And it's funny because there was a D lineman that like, hey, I'll buy that from you. I'm like, man, you can just have it. I'm not wearing this in the regular season. There's no way.
If I can get rid of this, that's good enough for me.
Take it, please.
And that's also the thing. I have to imagine if like a practice squad guy, someone offers to buy the jersey for, $20,000, $30,000 and they say no. The next day, equipment's probably just going to take it from them, then you get nothing.
And then, you might as well take the money.
Exactly. Yep. Oh, that's good. All right, and last comment coming in from our Vada. Luke says, woo, things are building up to the regular season. I love watching the back of the roster guys get some love. Shout out to Hank for the coverage there. I like to call us BOTR. Boaters?
Back of the roster.
Back of the roster, yeah, but he wants to pronounce boaters.
Boaters.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Says, going into this last preseason game, who is a boater guy that you really want to have a chance to perform? Who is a vet or someone you seemed to be a main roster guy going into preseason that you want to see more from than the last preseason game? Cheers. So looking forward to riding with you this season. Arvada, Luke, and Todd. Yesterday, I messed up. I didn't get the Todd Davis player of the game on Saturday. Who was it? Who was the Todd Davis player of the game?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because week one, it was Jaleel.
Yeah, it was Jaleel. And it has to be somebody back of the roster, and it has to be somebody that performed well.
That's all Todd Davis does, perform well.
That's a tough one. I will say that there was a couple guys that really did a good job within the game. I don't know if they're back of the roster guys. Hank, help me out on this one. I know you got some back of the roster guys.
That's a good
guys
question.
playing deep into the third quarter. You could say a Randy Gregory.
Yeah. Also, on Randy Gregory, I went through and checked. So he played 22 snaps, which was less than a bunch of the starters. So 22 is actually the exact average for a defensive player for the Broncos in that game. So the plan must have been, we're going to get him a normal amount of snaps. We're just going to go heavy on the rotation, either to get more of a look at, get Benito in there early, see what he does against starters, get Cooper in there early, see what he does, or just because they want to save his legs throughout and don't overuse him at one time.
So it's a really good point that he actually, it's not like it was a clear punishment where he played a lot more. But in post-game interviews, and I don't remember exactly who got these. I think Scotty with 9 News.
I think he definitely had one.
I think Mike Kliss also with 9 News. So 9 News hooking us up here. Scotty asked Randy Gregory about playing late into the third quarter, and Randy couldn't have blown it off even more in terms of just not making it a big deal. He said, I didn't get to play the last few weeks of the regular season, want to make sure that my legs are ready to go, so I'm totally okay with it. And there was you couldn't pick up on any drama or anything that he was mad at it. Frank Clark, on the other hand, said, you're going to have to ask coach about that, about not being a starter, about playing in the second half. And typically anytime a guy says you're going to have to ask coach about that, I don't know about that.
Yep. Probably
means they're not thrilled about the situation. So I found that interesting that those guys kind of seem to be on different pages with that.
Yeah, and sometimes everything with Sean Payton is like a mental game. So sometimes he could be testing these guys is it about you or is it about the team? Because sometimes throughout the course of the regular season, we might need to make adjustments to who's playing first, who's coming to back up, and what works best for the team, and it has to be more about the team. So this could very well be a test, and I've seen it done before. They don't necessarily feel like one is a starter, one is not, but they want to test you to see how you react, how you're going to carry yourself, if you're still rocking with the team, if you're still a leader, if you're still the guy that we can lean on, because in hard times, we may need to make some adjustments.
It's a really good point. And if you're ever going to put someone through a hard test and see how they react, preseason's probably a good time.
Yep.
In terms of back of the roster guys, Alberto, he had a great game, which I didn't even realize at first, but just looking through the notes. So I think it might have been McLaughlin's first run. He had a pancake. In pass protection, he and Isaiah Prince had a double team. They combined to pancake the guy. Jaleel's touchdown run. So that's the one where there's a kick out block, and it's Alberto who just seals this edge and wipes everything out, and Jaleel just has a massive hole to run through. That's Alberto again. There was a toss. Alberto was just out there leading the way. And then on the 50-yard return, pancake from Alberto. That's 3 pancakes that he was a part of, which is not something I ever thought I'd say.
Where is this coming from?
I
Because
don't know.
was it Thursday's practice, Wednesday's practice?
Yeah.
He had 2 great blocks
He's had
as
a couple.
well. What, did all of a sudden he just turn it on? And he's
He's
6'5",
pissed off.
250, so he can? Yeah.
He's pissed off. He's like, he thought he was going to make the team route running. Now they're telling him to block. He's like, all right, well, I got to do everything I can to try and make this team. And I think he's another guy that I feel like has a lot of ability and necessarily hasn't gotten all the opportunity. And then also he was trying to find his way for a couple years, I think. So I think he may be feeling like, blocking may be his entry to get on the field. And then once you get on the field, maybe you get some pass routes thrown your way. But first of all, they need him to be a blocker. So I think he's stepping up to the plate.
Is it too little too late for him? Or is there a path in the next literally 8 days, next Tuesday's roster cut down? Is there a path for him to get the roster?
I think it's a tough path, but I think there's a way, whether it's practice squad first, bringing him up a little bit later. I don't feel like it's an easy road, but I do think there is a concrete pave that he could follow.
Mm-hmm. And he just turned 25.
Wow.
So, like, the fact that the blocking stuff could just be coming, like, sometimes that takes time, technique-wise, and also just getting bigger and stronger. I don't know. Maybe you can figure that out. But that was shocking going through that game.
Yes.
It was awesome.
That is wild. Man, wouldn't it be a bummer to have Alberto on the roster for 3 whole years and you don't get to see his potential, and then he puts it together the last 2 weeks, and then you have to cut him, and he goes somewhere else, and he's able to realize that potential?
Like Isaiah McKenzie or Khalif Raymond.
Oh, yeah.
But those guys were good enough to stay when they were here, I felt
that's
like.
true.
They had made a name for themselves or really put together plays to where I felt like with both those guys, we shouldn't have cut them when we did.
Yeah.
It's just tough when a returner fumbles. Like, it's tough to just keep putting him back out there. And last year's staff would have had no issue with it. just like looking at
This is how
Melvin
it
Gordon.
goes.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a tough situation.
Yeah, it is. One final thing. I believe the comment came in from Edward. A number we didn't talk about, and I don't even know if this is allowed. 00. What do you think of that number?
I think that's worse than just 0.
Yeah,
I think it's
I'm
really
not.
bad.
I'm not a
It's
big
really
fan
bad.
of 00. I like the number has to look right. Like 22 double digits, I feel like always look good.
Yep.
51 is always a solid number.
Yeah,
Single digits. I don't know about the 00, man. I think that's once again that's a unique person and personality to rock the 00.
Garrett Bowles.
In 00.
And then he would look off. Big 00.
I could see. Kyle Fuller, center Kyle Fuller agrees with you about number 51. Todd.
Oh yeah.
You need that back on a defensive guy.
Yeah, man. It looks a little weird.
Linebacker?
It looks wider than when I had it.
Maybe Drew Sanders could pick that up if Kyle Fuller doesn't make the team.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah. I think the show was nice. I enjoyed it. It was a really fun show. Hit us with a thumbs up on your way out. It really helps us. And also, before we get out of here, holy cow, a massive super chat coming in from our friend Gregory. Thank you so much, Gregory. Someone was giving me crap in the comment section. They said I mispronounced every single person's super chat name. I think I got Gregory right.
Yeah,
I think you
did.
did.
You think I nailed it?
What's his last name?
Well, you here pulled it down. I can't see anymore.
That's a shame.
Gregory Venderland.
There's no R.
I can't read it, Henry. It's too far away.
Wunderland.
What is it?
Wunderland.
Oh,
There we
wow.
go.
Yes. Thank you so much, Gregory. That means a lot to us. And thank you, Todd. Thank you, Henry, for rolling with me today. We'll be back tomorrow to break down the Broncos' first practice of camp. Stay tuned. Have a good day.